Video games have always been a big part of my life. From playing Mario Kart with my sister as a kid, to raging at League of Legends in college, to exploring Limgrave and Elden Ring as a working adult, video games have been consistently present in my life. But while they have always been around, my relationship with gaming has evolved over time. There's been a clear shift in the way I view and approach video games today compared to when I was younger. Now, obviously, video games have significantly advanced technologically since I was 6 years old. But for the sake of this conversation, I won't be dwelling on those changes. Instead, I'll be focusing on the personal and social changes that have affected gaming as an adult for me, in the hope that you too can relate to them. In the end, I want to answer one question. Why does gaming feel different now? This answer is going to be different for every gamer. But for me personally, I've identified three main factors for this shift. While you may not relate to all three reasons, I hope that you enjoy this introspection and can find some common ground with it. So without further ado, here are my three main reasons for why gaming is different as an adult versus as a child. When I was young, I played a variety of video game genres. I was always willing to give a new game or genre a chance because I hadn't experienced it yet. One day I might be playing Banjo-Kazooie, and the next day I'd be playing a full season of NHL Hits. I loved adventure games, platformers, and sports games, while my close friends played more FPS games. I enjoyed going over to their houses to play these multiplayer games, but they weren't as enjoyable when I was playing by myself. Still, I relished the opportunity to venture outside of my typical genres, because I was still in the process of discovering what I refer to as my gaming identity. Everyone's gaming identity is unique, but simply put, it refers to the types of games you like, the types of playstyles you employ, and pretty much anything that makes you the gamer that you are. And it's heavily influenced by your childhood gaming experiences. Now that I'm an adult, my gaming identity is pretty static. It has evolved slightly over the past few years, with certain genres becoming a larger part, but as a whole, I know what I like as a player. Occasionally I will venture out into something new because something flashy catches my eye, but in general, I can usually tell if I'll like a game purely based on a trailer and a few minutes of gameplay. And this can be both a positive and a negative. On the positive side, understanding my likes and dislikes makes it more likely that a new game I decide to pick up will be enjoyable. But on the negative side, this means that my gaming has less variety. I'm less likely to venture outside of my gaming identity, and I don't get that sense of adventure and novelty of new genres that I experienced when I was young. Now, you might say that this is purely my choice, that I could still dive into new genres and experience that sense of adventure. And technically, you're right. I could spend time exploring new genres, and that leads conveniently, almost suspiciously conveniently, into my next topic. One of the main reasons I don't typically venture outside of my gaming identity is because I have limited time to play video games. As a child, I was lucky enough to have a lot of time to play video games. Outside of homework, sports practices, and chores, there weren't any responsibilities that were monopolizing my time. So taking a night or two to try out a new game never felt that I was making a sacrifice of any kind. I knew that if I ended up not liking the game, I could simply go back to something else I liked the next day. My gaming sessions were not few and far between. When I decided to stop playing games for the night, I knew I could pick up where I left off tomorrow or the next day. As an adult with a full-time job, this is really no longer the case. Responsibilities have changed as I've gotten older, and as a result, I've had to cut down on the amount of video games I play. Now, when I do decide to play, I lean heavily towards my gaming identity because I want to be sure that I enjoy the time that I'm playing. There's an opportunity cost of taking a risk and playing something new because that session may be the only time I have to play games for a while. If it turns out I don't enjoy the game, it feels as if I wasted that opportunity. I've noticed in my friend groups that as we get older, we all seem to play less video games. From conversations with others, this doesn't seem to be isolated to my friend groups. And this isn't a huge surprise to me. As stated before, responsibilities tend to increase as an adult compared to childhood, and there's less time and energy for other hobbies. Video games tend to be one of the first hobbies pushed to the side, which introduces a new question. Why? Why are video games the first hobby to get pushed aside? And honestly, the answer is probably quite complex, and it's going to be slightly different for every person. But, in my opinion, one of the largest reasons for this change is not a personal one, but a societal one. And social perception is the final topic of this video. Video games are a large part of childhood culture, especially with boys. Whether it was discussing my progress in my latest single-player game, or staying up late at sleepovers to co-op multiplayer missions, thinking, talking, playing video games is a key component of many childhoods. It's one of the main topics of discussion at the lunch table, and it's viewed as one of many activities that children can relate to each other through and build friendships. It's not viewed as weird or antisocial. But as an adult, this perception shifts. While some are beginning to accept video games as a normal adult hobby, especially within the YouTube and Twitch spaces, there are many people who don't think adults should play video games. It is viewed as antisocial by certain people, despite these same people having great memories playing games when they were younger. I've had many conversations with peers who state they no longer play video games because they have, quote, aged out of them. Yet they're also incredibly excited to discuss the games they used to play and verbally relive those moments. This dichotomy seems to only exist because of societal norms of who should and should not be playing video games. While I wouldn't argue that playing video games is the most productive hobby, there are many hobbies that are similar but are not viewed in the same way by society. For example, watching TV and movies is a popular hobby that always seems to be a topic of conversation. In fact, at times, it feels like people are surprised if you haven't seen a popular TV show. Video games are simply another form of entertainment, akin to TV and movies. And I hope that the public perception of video games continues to shift in a positive direction, as it has over the past few years. As with everything in life, there will inevitably be differences between your experiences as a child and your experiences as an adult. Things change because of factors in your control and factors out of your control. All you can do is continue to live your life in a way that makes you happy. But if you have a free hour or two, though, I challenge you to pick up a game or hobby that you used to enjoy when you were younger. And you might just find that that excitement you had as a kid is not gone quite yet. This is, of course, just one man's opinion. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how gaming has changed for you over the years in the comment section below. And if you've made it this far, please subscribe to the channel, as it will allow me to make more videos like this one. Until next time, stay gaming.